How's it going, everyone? I'm Grarl Brown. I'm a T-Rex VTuber and amateur paleontologist, and welcome to my second episode of Zoids Analysis, where I break down the different species of Zoids and compare them to their real-world counterparts. And today, since we did T-Rex for our first episode, I thought today we would do something a little bit different. And since we're in a tropical island, what better way to start off with? That's right, we're going to go over Spinosaurus. Not only that, but we're going to also throw in another Spinosaurid because the video is going to be kind of short if I just stuck it to just Spinosaurus itself. Now, what's interesting about the Spinosaurus and also the Spinosaurus Zoids in the franchise is that these Zoids also kind of evolved with the animal as science progressed along. Now, unlike in our previous video where we had multiple Tyrannosaurids, here there are only two. There are only two real Spinosaurid dinosaurs represented in Zoids. So we have at least two Spinosaurids represented in Zoids. We have Spinosaurus aegypticus itself, which is what the family's named after, and we also have one known as the Suchomimus, which is pretty much just like the Spinosaurus equivalent of a grizzly bear, essentially. Now, starting off with Spinosaurus, the largest of the Spinosaurids is, well, Spinosaurus itself, also known as Spinosaurus aegypticus, which was the largest of the Spinosaurs, which was found in the Caymanian period of the late Cretaceous era. Spinosaurus Zoids are kind of interesting because they're the only Zoids in the franchise that seem to have evolved along with our understanding of how the animal looked like, ranging from old retro-style dinosaurs, so things like the Spinosaurid, to more modern interpretations like the Genospino from Zoids Y. Our first look at a Spinosaurus-type Zoid comes from New Century Zero with what is known as a Spinosaur. Now you're probably asking me, what the actual flying hell is a sapper? Well, I'm glad you asked because not only am I a VTuber, but I'm also a member of the US Army. And in the Army, we have a special little MOS known as basically a military job, known as a sapper. And a sapper is basically a combat engineer, where they are tasked with blowing up buildings and forests and stuff like that. They're basically utility soldiers. And that's basically what a Spinosaurid essentially is. It is a Zoid that is essentially meant for utility work. And it kind of shows in its designs, what with its retro-style chainsaw sails and also its rock borer sails as well. Now, the Spinosaurid is based off of the old retro-style Spinosaurus, which was found by a German paleontologist by the name of Stromer. Stromer basically thought the Spinosaurus looked like, well, just an average run-of-the-mill theropod, aka two-legged meat-eating dinosaur with a giant sail on its back, which unfortunately was destroyed during the bombings of World War II. Now, we won't see another Spinosaurus-type Zoid up until Fusors, with the introduction of the Dark Spiner, which is more based off of the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus' design, which at the time was pretty much the most accurate interpretation of Spinosaurus because we've found more and more fragmentary remains of the animal over the course of the decades, and we have found more of its relatives, so things like Baryonyx and Suchomimus, so we can kind of piece a little bit of the puzzle to kind of get a solid-ish idea of what this animal looks like. Now, also, I'll throw this in as well, so there was also a Spinosaurus-type Zoid in what was known as Zoids Generations, basically what Zoids Genesis was supposed to be, with the introduction of the Biospino, which on the artwork over here is more based off of Dark Spiner, but this model kit over here looks more of like it was a retool of the Biotyranno. Still really cool though, but I kind of wish that we got this in Zoids Genesis itself because that's pretty fucking sick. And then moving into the 2010s, we have things like the Genospino, which in the anime, it looks to be more accurate to what we thought Spinosaurus kind of looks like at the time, which was kind of a squat, almost borderline quadrupedal, crocodile-like animal that could swim in the water. Whereas the model kit, however, kind of made it look more like a midget-sized goblin. And that basically covers Spinosaurus itself. Again, there's really not a whole lot to go off of because there really isn't a whole lot of Spinosauruses in Zoids. It's just the actual design of those said Zoids are probably a little bit more interesting than things like the Tyrannosaurs, where there was a lot more to cover. Well, mainly because Tyrannosaurus is also very popular, and we know a lot more about Tyrannosaurus than we do with Spinosaurus. But we're not done here because, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, we're also going to be kind of going over the one other Spinosaurus that was featured in Zoids. The Suchomimus is a large Spinosaurus dinosaur from the late Cretaceous period. Now, the thing with Suchomimus is that it was built more for terrestrial prey rather than its large-sailed cousin, which was meant for more aquatic prey. And as such, the Suchomimus is kind of like if the Spinosaurus is like a crocodile or a heron, then the Suchomimus here is more or less like a grizzly bear, which is actually kind of amazing because the Suchomimus is actually as big as a Tyrannosaur, which kind of says just how big Spinosaurs can actually get. And despite this being a really cool powerhouse of a dinosaur, in Zoids there is only really one representative of this species, with that being the Gravitysaur from Zoids Fusors. So there you have it. That is pretty much all of the Spinosaurus-type Zoids in the series. The video, like I mentioned earlier, isn't going to be very long just because there's really not a whole lot of Spinosauruses in Zoids. There's only like a handful of model kits and only 2 species to go off of. So yeah, it's going to be a little short one, but it's more of like pretty much the evolution of the animal itself rather than, you know, the amount of Zoids or species that are representative in this series. But with that being said, next video is going to be about the Raptor Zoids in the franchise, which this one's going to be kind of interesting because there's quite a bit. There is quite a bit of Raptor Zoids to go over, and actually we have about 3 or 4 species of Dromaeosaurs to go over in the next video. If you like what you see, let me know down in the comments down below of like what you want to see in the next video, and we'll go over it. So this has been Growl Brown, your amateur paleontologist and T-Rex VTuber. And if you like what you see here, please go check me out on my Twitch, where I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and also on Saturdays. I'm a variety streamer, and I do a myriad of different things from gaming to just chatting to model kit building streams. So with that being said, everyone, I'll catch you all later.